So I have never been more proud to be a chemist than these 2 days. But I abandoned the discipline very, very quickly because I didn't really feel that it was my calling. I'm still looking for my calling, which is why earlier I asked, you know, is it all chance or do you really have to have a plan, in which case I'm screwed. I'm also slightly embarrassed at what I'm going to show you now, having been asked to come after Janina, because these were a range of ornamental jeans I designed when I was 15 years old. And a few years later, when I was studying chemistry, so I saw an opportunity there because I was obviously tremendously fashionable and I thought my designs were fantastic. And it was my first experience of networking because one of my classmates was of the CNA family. So I thought that would be enough to get onto the racks of the stores, of course. Later, I designed, or I saw the opportunity when the Dutch Chemical Society, I'm Dutch, was celebrating its 50th year. Trivial Pursuit was all the rage. I said, I know, I'm going to make a chemical Trivial Pursuit and it'll be like a commemorative edition. They loved the idea, absolutely. I'd already figured out that, hell no, I wasn't doing the work. I had subcontracted the work to other students already in anticipation of great success. The other thing I'm sharing is also sort of, you know, circumstantially inspired innovation, which is a baby-proof plant pot cover. Who hasn't had a child go in the plant pots? And it's really just a plastic sheet with a hole in it that you put around a plant and with maybe nice pebbles or something. So what are all these things that I'm showing you? They're my entrepreneurial non-journey. They went nowhere. It went absolutely nowhere. And you know, I'm kind of pleased that Sharon came before me because she shared some personal difficulty. I'm sharing my failure in another way. Now, why didn't anything happen? Well, this one, because there was a lot of IP in horticulture already. There's a lot of plant covers and all of that. So in terms of patentability, it was a lost cause. This one was too expensive to make because the volumes of chemists in the Netherlands who want to play chemical Trivial Pursuit were maybe not as high as I would have liked to think. And this one, well, frankly, what was I thinking? So right now, I would like to think that I'm making up for these failures. I do not consider myself an entrepreneur, despite the fact that I have been self-employed for 10 years. I only don't think I'm an entrepreneur because I don't create big things. I don't hire lots of people, and I'm not, you know, this leader of people. But what I have been able to do, and this is as chair of Scottish Health Innovations, which is a voluntary position, is I make things like this happen. These are the Scottish Health Innovation Organisation set up to commercialise intellectual property and ideas from the National Health Service in Scotland. So nurses, clinicians, ambulance personnel come up with ideas. We have a very small budget and we select ideas and we make them happen. So at the top you'll see an ambulance child restraint. Ambulance personnel came and said, you know, we have to carry children when they're sick. We go really fast in our ambulances and there are no specified child restraints. So we developed an ambulance child restraint and it is now fitted in every single ambulance in the UK, which is wonderful. This is also tremendously humbling where Scottish Health Innovations has played a role in setting up a company called Touch Bionics. It is a model of innovation that is used even by the UK government of look at all the great things we can do. It is literally the poster boy for innovation, and it is an artificial limb that for the first time could actually grab pennies and pinch small things. So people get fitted with that. And this is something that I'm very proud to say, hopefully, if everything goes ahead, we will get investment into this spin-out company this month of about £600,000 from angels. We have achieved the CE marking within Scottish Health Innovations, but it now needs to be spun out to really go and sell. And it is an illuminated retractor, so I'm sure we all watch Grey's Anatomy and they hold the chest open with these kind of scissor type things. These have lights inside of them so that the cavity is better illuminated and the surgeons don't have to wear big fat helmets. Also, obviously, applications in military settings. So I wanted to tell you just a little bit about this because I'm proud of it, but also because it's something that was set up by government, it's funded by government, and is really there as one part of the very large ecosystem of support that exists in Scotland in particular to support entrepreneurship. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what it takes to set up an entrepreneurship ecosystem. So I didn't make this up because there's a gentleman called Daniel Eisenberg at the Babson College doing an entrepreneurship ecosystem project. And, you know, as a former McKinsey consultant, I don't think that's a really good framework, but I have to say I tried to find another one that was any better. And actually it does cover everything. Now, the problem with entrepreneurship ecosystems is, you know, for the last 10 years that I've been consulting in this area, people want to replicate Silicon Valley. How do we replicate Silicon Valley? How do we replicate Karolinska? And actually, it's not about that. You know, you can't replicate something that's developed over time, that's generated its own identity, and everybody's tried and failed, unfortunately. So it's really about, you know, looking at each of the different elements and where is the strength that your region, your country, your you know, even a small microcosm has that you can have an impact on. I'm not going to go through all of these. It's something you can just easily find online. It's the BEEP, the Babson Entrepreneurship Ecosystem. But I want to call out two things. One is we've talked a lot about culture. And we talk, when, you know, part of the reason that I didn't do anything with my jeans, aside from the fact that nobody would want to buy them, is that, you know, I never considered entrepreneurship as an option. You know, I'm a diplomat child, we moved abroad a lot, I was expected to do well in school. This idea that I would be an entrepreneur was I'd never even heard of it, and frankly, anybody who set up their own business was a bit of a used car salesman in the environment that I grew up in. So I do think that in the last, you know, 15, 20, however many years, since there have been more high-profile entrepreneurs, that's really had a tremendous impact on our culture. And when I look at young people today, then I'm really thrilled that they think that entrepreneurship is a perfectly normal thing. And I think that that is an advancement that has moved very quickly. Now, the flip side of that is that entrepreneurship is still, in many ways, perceived as this sort of heroic solo activity. And even back when I was at Stanford, I got to work with Professors Beyer and Sutton to do research in saying, you know, actually they're not solo heroes, it's all about teamwork, and who better to build teams and to work in teams than women. I think that, you know, we talk about role models, and I don't want the entrepreneurial role models to only be the phenomenal high flyers. I want to celebrate the mompreneurs, which is a terrible word, I'm going to use it anyway, the mompreneurs who just have a lifestyle business and just build something to keep their own economic activity, the entrepreneurs like Janina who actually build a business and employ people, and then, you know, all of those who come up with social enterprises and other things. I think they don't get celebrated enough, and there's always this idea of I must be, you know, Mark Zuckerberg. Finance is the other thing. So that's the area that I work in a lot. I help governments set up venture capital programs and other access to finance initiatives. And this is where I plug the Aspire Fund of Capital for Enterprise, which is specifically geared toward women. And people who are intending to invest in a women-led business can go and get some match funding. And there's been a lot of innovation in that in the last 10 years as well. I'm just going to speed through this because I'm running out of time. But I wanted to say this is the thing that would have made the biggest difference to me: permission. And I think we're talking about encouragement and enlightenment and networks and connections, but actually just permission. Go and do something that you may consider as selfish. Go and do something that you know, doesn't follow the track that maybe people are expecting from you. It's okay. And mostly, go and give someone permission to fail. Because, you know, we learn most from failure. And if you don't want to fail, then you're never going to start anything. So if I think about, you know, the call to action that Annalisa asked for, these are all areas. You know, culture we've talked about a lot. We know what we can all do. Finance, I'm delighted. I have met 2 business angels in this audience already who support businesses. There's Jennifer, there's Laura, I don't know where she's sitting. These are things that you could do on a small scale. But also, if you are working in a large corporate organization, corporate venturing is a very good way of supporting entrepreneurship. I think those of us who have lobbying ability and rights, you know, at various institutions can be helping. Big corporates could be buying more from SMEs. The government has set up a special SME czar who makes sure that all sorts of governments spend a lot more time and attention trying to buy from small businesses. And that's something that's going to make the biggest difference. Obviously, skills, the London Business School, the SITE program, all of these things. And then there's support institutions like Scottish Health Innovations. So I think, we all have the potential to help in every single way, wherever you are, in setting up this entrepreneurship ecosystem, and I think we should help. And I know that Pinky's already mentioned it to you today, but I'm going to say it in a slightly more onerous tone, that hell has a special place for women who do not help other women. Thank you very much.